Okay, hello. This tutorial is about how to set up FontLab before you're working on each of the glyph here, right? So the first thing that you have to do after download FontLab is give your font a name, okay? You can give it any name you like, and then just hit create new fonts here, right? Hit create new fonts, or you can also, just select this blue button here. Or another thing that is pretty interesting is if you have a font, okay, and you want to check inside that font about the setting, about the letter form, and you can use the function here, the open font function, and open the existing font on your computer here. But since we're going to work on the new thing, okay, just create new fonts and hit create new. And the next thing is it will, goes to the glyph panel. So just select the one that you want to work with, okay? I mean, you don't have to work with all the character here. You can also, if you look on the left here, there are also some options that you could choose, like simple Latin, okay? For instance, it will give you basic Latin characters, or Latin Pro, which will contain more character here. If you kind of like take a look at the glyph panel here, there's a lot, right? If you work on Cyrillic or Greeks, you can also select this option as well. But we will work on the minimum sets, okay, minimum character sets that I give you in on Google Classroom. So it's going to be around this. So you just select all the character that you're going to use, okay, in your fonts. In this project, it's just minimum character sets here by ASC2, okay. So select the first character that you want to create, and after that hold down shift on your keyboard and select the rest of the character, and then after this just press enter. Press enter, and you might notice that the character that you already choose, okay, to work on, right, have like changed into like a shadow, okay, instead of like a white characters like this. There's no character inside this glyph window, right? This is just preview, right? So the next thing that you have to do is, first you might draw your letter form from here, okay, from FontLab. Just double click the each of the glyph window that you want to create the character like this, okay. Another the glyph window will pop up, and you can see the guidelines in the background, right? The A character, okay, it's not going to show in your fonts when you export it. It's just guideline here, okay. You might notice about the number here, okay. There's a 750 A here. What is it exactly? It's the height of the ascender, okay. A represent ascender, 700 represent cap line, right? 500 is X height, and 0 is baseline. The thing that different from font fog is the number of descender line here, right? So basically in FontLab, okay, it will give minus value to the descender, okay. It's the distance between the baseline to the descender line, right? So from the baseline to the descender line, the distance is 250, okay, but it is in minus. So you can also change this kind of like dimension by just go to fonts info, right? So in the glyph panel here, you might notice on the left here, there's a I symbol here. Select on it. When you roll over it, okay, you can see it's called font info. Just hit on it, okay, just hit it, and after that the font info window will pop up here. And of course the name that you already gave to the typeface will show in the first command here. You can change the name here as well, like I don't know, TLK2 for instance, okay. And if you want to kind of like change the name here manually, you could do that. Or if you want FontLab to generate other names for your character, okay, you could also do that by hit build name. Okay, just build name here, hit it. As you might notice here, full name and postscript name and style group change, right? Okay, here. Next is the width class, right? So if your character is just normal character, just choose normal. But if it's like condensed or very narrow character, then you might thinking about choosing other setting here. Or if you're working on the wide fonts, so just choose semi expanded or other option beyond the normal. Another thing is style name. Okay, you might change it into italics or other style. The master name here as well, right? It depends on what exactly you're working on. Okay, if you kind of like choose the style group here, okay, on the right you will see that you have some options here. If you work on italic characters, just choose that one, or both italic, you just choose it here, right? But if it's just a regular characters, then just choose regulars here. And another thing that is very important here is family dimensions. This is where you could adjust ascender and descender here, as well as the working space of your fonts, right? Each of the grid. Usually for open types, right, designer tend to use 1,000 UPM or unit per M here. And you can adjust the ascender depending on your fonts, but however my recommendation is the two number, right, the ascender and descender without the minus value, right, without the minus value of the descender should be sum up and equal 1,000, right, and it will look great. Let's say if I'm going to give it like something like this, then you change it to 220, something like this. Or if you're going to like change it again, you might thinking about change it to this. I know it's just example. All right, okay. And after that, just go to font dimensions. This is where you can adjust the cap heights, right? At okay, you can give any numbers to the cap height, but make sure that it doesn't go over 1,000 UPM, because that is where the border of the workplace is. Okay, just make sure that there's a little bit of gap between your characters and of course the the edge of the workspace. Okay, and then X height. It depends on preference. The higher it is, the higher your character will be. Okay, so it depends on you, but make sure it's shorter than cap lines, right? And also ascender height. Okay, make shorter. If you work on italic angles, you can also increase the italic angle here as well, right? You can write a note. Okay, it's just your own comment here in next step, right? For the stem here, you can also, here's the thing, sometimes you want to create some letter form here by using the tools, right? But it's not going to be precise if you don't have like work on this kind of like horizontal on vertical lines. So you can give some kind of like static value to the horizontal lines and vertical here as well, right? So that the thickness of the stroke will be regularized by hinting. Okay, here there's some description here, right? This is not important. I will go through the thing that important, right? So for the creator is your information, right? Where you sell your typeface, for instance, right? And the name of the designer is, which is you. Okay, you might put your URL here, and of course the creation dates of your typeface here, the versions of your typeface. If it is the first version one, just put 1, right? But if it is an update version, then you're probably thinking about changing the number, okay, into 2 or something else, okay. About the legals is the copyright section, which you have to state about, how your typeface will be used, alright. If it's a commercial typefaces, then you might have to kind of like write about the condition of the license here and trademark and copyright. If it's Creative Commons as well, okay, you might have to write in this section, right? And this one is pretty interesting, is that as you might notice right now, we only work on the Roman characters or Latin character, right? So if you go to code page here, you can also work with other characters like Greeks, Turkish, Hebrew, Arab, for instance, or even Thai character, okay. Basically you just choose it and then select the right arrow like this, right, and you hit apply, okay. Here, if you're going to work on other script, okay, just go to the code pages here, okay. And of course you have to kind of like, if you're going to work with that script apart from the Latin one, right, you have to hit this choice too, okay. If you work on Thai character in collaboratively with Latin character, just hit this option. But for this particular project, we will only work on Latin typefaces, right? Latin typeface, okay. So we don't have to do that, okay. Instant. And the last option here is an overview of your setting. Just go over it. If you kind of like want to look into all of the information, select it, and then if everything's fine, just hit apply here, all right, apply, and then okay. And then after this you have like import each of the graph of your or the character that you design in Illustrator here, okay. If you design your character in Photoshop, you can do that as well, or if you draw by hand, you can also import each of the character here by going to files and select import here, okay. Just go to file, import, select the grid window that you want to import each of the character first, and go to file, import, and select artwork here, okay. And just go to the place where the artwork is. In FontLab, it can import many type files, right? Type of files, right? For instance, it can import EPS, bitmap, JPEGs, and so on, right? And SVG as well here, okay. My recommendation is this: if you're going to like import each of the characters, okay, one by one, it will take too much of the time, right? So if you design to use Illustrator in with FontLab, for instance, right, you can also work with other program, but if you decide to use Adobe system, just go and save it, okay, separately by using different artboard in one file, right? Place each of the character in different artboard in Illustrator, and after that just hit export, right? And then after that you use artboard, right? It will automatically generate the picture of each of the characters separately, right? And then you can another thing that you have to do is, okay, you have to rename all the pictures or all the image of your character that you create in Illustrator or Photoshop, okay. Make it the same as FontLab here. As you can see, in each of the width here, they will have like a name, or it's just a preview or the name of the grid up there, okay. If you roll over it, they will have like basic information about Unicode or the numbers of each of the character here, okay, like C, A, or something like that. So make sure that each of the character that you create in Illustrator, for instance, okay, have the same name as here, okay. If you you have to kind of like change the name of each of the image of the character in Illustrator, right, to match with this name, okay. And it is a case sensitive software, okay. FontLab is a case sensitive software, so if you give a name to a file as capital A like this, so it's going to be different from lowercase a, okay. And when you already and just take a look at some of the character here. So this is just symbol, like and also numbers, right, like 1 2 3 4 or whatever. Make sure you give it the same name, exactly the same name, okay. Like if you're going to like create a backslash, for instance, okay, give the file backslash dot svg or backslash dot eps, for instance, all right. So, and after that you could drag and drop all the files all at once right here in the grid panel, okay. I'm going to kind of like show you how to do that, right. So first, just go to the folder that you export all the character here. Okay, that's some of the character. I already rename it here. This is SVG, right? Okay, so if you drag some of the character here that already been renamed here, okay, into FontLab, you might notice that it will go to the to the grid window just directly. You don't have to do anything. You just go there directly. You don't have to go to files and then import and then go to artwork one by one, all right. So the difference between EPS and SVG here, okay, is if you kind of like select this is SVG, right? If it is SVG that's been exported by Illustrator, you can only kind of like increase the size, rotate it, right, and that's it. You can't change the letter form of each of the character here. So I would recommend you to, it's not like in FontLab, right? Okay, so difference. So my suggestion is, if you're going to use Illustrator, instead of drawing each of the character from here, which a lot of designers prefer to kind of like create everything in FontLab, right? You can also export the file from Illustrator as EPS, all right? EPS, not AI, all right? Not AI. So, and you do the same thing, give it a name, okay? Give it the name that match with the name, the grid name here, okay? If it is EPS, then just do the same thing, right? So go to folder that you rename your character here, and then after that just drag and drop all the character here. And you might notice that sometime this window will pops up, okay. Basically, when you kind of like work in a different platform like Illustrator and FontLab, right, there might have some minor difference in the proportion and other things, okay. So you have three options here. First, you just keep it the way it is, just hit keep if you want to keep all the letter form as it is that you designed from Illustrator, okay. Or if you want to make it a little bit round or something like that, just change the coordinate here, just hit round. But if you want to turn off this kind of function in FontLab, just hit the turn off function. In this case, I will adjust it so that it works collaboratively with FontLab better. So I will hit round here, do it just do the same, okay, hit round. Okay, now we have some character here, A, B, C, D, right? You might notice that here the character also in color. Yes, in FontLab 7, right, you can use color as well as other effects, right, which is very cool, right? You don't have to kind of like design your font in black and white only. You can assign the some of the highlights, gradient colors, the stroke width in Illustrator, and then expand it and import it here as well, alright? But the main problem that might occur sometimes is, of course, it's a different platform. So if your typeface are the letter form or character are too complicated, right? Sometimes error might occur, okay? To check whether each of the character work very well here or not, okay? You could open the grid window here, okay? Just double click each of the grid window, and then after that just go to the tools bar on the left here. It's pretty similar to Illustrator here, okay? I'm going to talk about basic tools here just a moment, all right? So can you see the yin yang signs here? It's called font audits, all right? If you before this I turn it on, okay? If you hit it again, okay, then we have some suggestion on what you could do, okay, to make your characters or the outline or anything, okay, with this letter form, how to kind of like improve it, okay. There's some suggestion like in this, if you kind of like notice closely, you will see this wavy lines here in green, right? So it the comment says this line is nearly flat curves, right? So it kind of like suggests you to kind of like fix this part, and in some of the area, like you can see the red X sign here, right? The comment is remove knots, right? So in this part, FontLab kind of suggests you to delete the anchor point here. So you can do it one by one by double click on each of the the suggestion, okay? Or you can have to do that, double click it and just click fix, okay, or ignore if you kind of like want to keep your character as the same as in Illustrator. But if you want to fix this one by one, all right, one by one, just hit fix here. But if you want to fix everything, okay, in this typeface or this character, just hit fix all. So as you can see, most of the characters, most of the comments start to disappear, okay. They might have some comments that's still there, right? So do the same, right? Fix all until all the comments disappear. Fix all, okay. Just do it one by one. They might have some of the thing that can't be fixed. It happens from time to time too, but usually if your character is not so sophisticated, right, it will be all right, okay. And if it's you can also right click on the knot or something like that, right, and delete the knot like this, okay. It also suggests you to kind of like adjust the curve here. You can do it manually or just click on it, okay, and then fix all again. Usually it should fix the problem for you, all right. But if it doesn't, then do it manually, all right. Fix all here, fix it, okay. Zero length, fix all like this, fix all. Oh. Another thing you could do with your character, okay, if it's kind of like too complicated, okay, you can make it more simple, okay, by using contour, okay. Just select everything, okay, just select everything. You can use white arrow here, which is called contour, right? If it is the same as direct selection tools in Illustrator, and the black arrow, it's just typical selection tools that you can like move the character around. But when you select contour, right, you can select each of the point and base your curve here, and you go to contour, right. If you kind of like want to make the character more simple, go to contour here, and you can simplify it, okay. And you might notice that right now the character become more simplified here. Another thing that you could do with this command is go to contour again. You can make the character more balanced or harmonious. If you choose balance, as you might notice, okay, some of the curves kind of like align together. And you could do you could use the clean up option, okay, for bitmap typeface that you scan from. If you draw something by you know, using paper or something and you scan it, you can use the clean up to make your the background and other part look better, right? You can also create like you know, harmonize to make your character more harmonious, like this, right? It will change, you know, the letter form and make it more unite together. And if some part of your character you know, kind of overlap together, just choose overlaps, make sure there's no part that overlap together, right? So, and just take a look at the, you know, suggestion, right? And fix all, select fix all, double click it, okay, just take a look what happened here. And you, if you kind of like satisfied with everything, okay, and you're going to like switch off the fonts audit, just go to yin yang sign on the left and hit it, okay, like this, okay. And like I said, you can delete each of the knot by right click on the angle point and delete it. Some of the points are too much here, delete it. Make sure it's very simple, keep the outline simple, right? Keep the outline simple here. If it's too much, right, the file size of your fonts will be more, which is not good, right? Not good at all. Okay, these are just some example how you could work on, you know, your character, how to import it. Okay, like I said, okay, you can assign the color for your fonts as well, okay. You kind of like assign it in Illustrator. So this basically how to kind of like import each of the character. Another thing that I would like to suggest you is that you know, make sure that you use the right workspace, right? So if you can't find some of the important tools, okay, just go to Window. Everything is here in the panel, right? Whether it's a brush, it's a tool, basic tools, or you know, the history or everything. If you want to change the workspace, let's say if you can't find some of the menu, just go to Window, Workspace, and go to Defaults, right? Window, Workspace, Defaults here. If it kind of like show all the panel, important panel here. But if you work on kerning, you might you know, want to change it into kerning workspace or other workspace here. It depends on your what you are working on, okay? Another interesting thing about FontLab is sketchbook. What is it exactly? When you open the files, right, you might notice that there's a second tab, okay, on the left here called sketchbook. Here, sketchbook is like your notebook where you could, you know, experiment with the letter form, right? You can draw anything, you can, you know, use the tools to kind of like create some of the letter form here before you import each of the characters, right, inside the grid window, right? So it's not going to have any impact on the grid, okay? But you can, like, if you want to do the doodles or sketch, just do it here at you know. Okay, this is basically how to kind of like import the characters, right? And then how to kind of like adjust the proportion, the dimensions, right? And how to use the fonts audits here, okay? Don't forget to save your files as well. So I hope this video helped you, you know, more or less. Thank you very much for watching.